What would you change today if a handful of blood proteins could warn you that your 5 or 10-year mortality risk is rising?
Welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. Stay informed with quick, easy to listen summaries of our latest articles, perfect for when you're on the go. No reading required. Subscribe for free at mercola.com for the latest health insights.
Hello, and welcome to Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. I'm Ethan Foster, and we're looking at new evidence showing how small shifts in circulating proteins can flag danger long before symptoms appear, and how you can respond with targeted steps.
I'm Alara Sky. Researchers working with UK Biobank data measured 2,917 proteins in more than 38,000 adults and found that elevated levels of just 5, PLAR, SERPINA3, CRIM1, DDR1, and LTBP2, consistently predicted higher risk of non-accidental death over 5 and 10 years. These proteins rise with inflammation, tissue remodeling, and abnormal cell activity, which means they're practical early warning signals.
Those 5 stood out even after accounting for age, sex, BMI, lifestyle, and standard clinical markers. The team also mapped hundreds of additional proteins tied to 5 and 10-year outcomes. But the repeat signal from these 5 suggests you can use a small signature to identify risk and act before disease develops. You're essentially catching a trend in your biology rather than waiting for a diagnosis.
There were other notable patterns. Proteins involved in communication between cells, surges in cell number, and inflammatory cascades were strong predictors of mortality. Elevated SERPINA1, important for protecting lung tissue from enzyme-driven inflammation, was linked to higher 5-year risk. Elevated SERPINA3 was associated with lower survival in several cancers. These are not abstract findings. They translate to measurable, trackable lab data.
You also see how timing matters. The same core proteins forecast outcomes across both 5 and 10-year windows, which points to ongoing biological pressure rather than a short-term blip. If you identify that pressure early, you can choose interventions aimed at the drivers: chronic inflammation, mitochondrial strain, and cardiovascular stress, rather than focusing on the proteins themselves.
Troponin adds another layer. It's a blood protein released when your heart muscle is under stress or damaged. Even slight elevations correlate with higher death risk across ages, not just in older adults or those with clear cardiac disease. That makes it a sensitive indicator of hidden cardiovascular strain that you might not feel day to day.
Importantly, troponin can rise outside of acute heart attacks, sepsis, stroke, pulmonary disease, chronic kidney disease, and certain cancer therapies can increase it. The takeaway is straightforward. When you see troponin move above its usual low baseline, treat it as a sign that your heart and circulation need less strain and more support, while you and your clinician identify the cause.
So what can you do with this information? The goal is to reduce the upstream pressures that elevate these proteins. The first step is dietary fat quality. Remove industrial seed oils: soybean, canola, sunflower, safflower, grapeseed, cottonseed, rice bran, and similar blends. These are high in linoleic acid, which disrupts cellular energy production and promotes oxidative stress that keeps inflammation switched on.
If you rely on restaurant food or ultra-processed items, assume these oils are present. Replace them with traditional stable fats such as tallow, grass-fed butter, and ghee. This swap lowers oxidative load at the cell membrane level and reduces one of the primary inputs that drive the very protein changes linked to poorer outcomes.
Next, support your mitochondria to reduce cellular burden. If you've been under high stress, used chemotherapy, or eat very low carb, your mitochondria may be strained. Give them adequate carbohydrate, around 250 grams per day for most people. This fuels energy pathways more efficiently when you're repairing function and helps prevent the compensations that raise damaging byproducts.
Collagen intake is the third lever. Many of the mortality-linked proteins sit at the intersection of tissue remodeling and breakdown. Aim for about 1/3 of your daily protein from collagen-rich sources, such as bone broth. You're supplying raw materials that help you rebuild and maintain tissues under inflammatory pressure.
Fourth, improve oxygen delivery and reduce hidden cardiovascular strain. Walk daily and get morning sunlight. Movement helps clear waste proteins via your lymphatic system, while early light supports circadian rhythm and nitric oxide, both helpful for blood flow. Avoid jumping into intense exercise if you're not adapted. Start with walking, low-intensity strength, and mobility, then layer intensity gradually.
Fifth, remove common toxins that keep cellular alarm signals high. Cut alcohol entirely. It acts as a mitochondrial poison even at low doses. Reduce exposures from synthetic fragrances, fluoride, plastics, and excessive EMF. Replace nonstick cookware, stop reheating food in plastic, and choose fragrance-free or natural personal care products. This lowers interference with hormonal and immune signaling tied to those mortality-associated proteins.
All of these steps are framed around what the protein signals imply. Your system is under strain, and you can ease that strain. None of this treats a specific disease. It's about reducing the pressures that push markers like PLIR, SERPINA3, CRIM1, DDR1, LTBP2, SERPINA1, and troponin in the wrong direction so you have a better long-term trajectory.
If you're already tracking labs, look at trends, not single values. Slight increases matter. The study linked even modest elevations to risk well ahead of symptoms. That means you don't wait for dramatic shifts. You respond when you first see patterns that fit with inflammation, tissue damage, or cardiovascular stress.
You might also rethink how you interpret normal. A result within the lab's reference range can still be higher than your personal baseline. When trends move upward, and your daily life includes seed oils, low-carb strain, alcohol, or frequent exposure to plastics and fragrances, it's reasonable to act on the drivers now and retest later to confirm improvement.
Consider how these actions fit together. Removing seed oils lowers oxidative stress. Adequate carbohydrates help mitochondria recover. Collagen supports repair. Walking and morning light improve circulation and lower hidden cardiac strain. Reducing alcohol and synthetic exposures quiets inflammatory signaling. Each move targets a distinct lever that influences the proteins highlighted by the research.
You don't need to implement everything at once. Choose one change you can sustain this week, measure what you can, and add the next step once the first is solid. The power of this approach is that you're aligning daily behavior with objective markers that reveal risk early, before you feel unwell.
Here's your challenge for the next 7 days. Remove seed oils from your meals, add one daily morning walk in sunlight, and include a collagen-rich serving, such as bone broth. If you have recent labs, note any prior elevations in the proteins we discussed, or in troponin, and schedule follow-up testing with your clinician once these habits are consistent. Thank you for watching Dr. Mercola's Cellular Wisdom. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe now and click the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.